Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday, everyone. A lot of people, it's probably your first day back to work this week. And anyway, it is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. If you're new here, this is our daily updates on what happened today in our little VW restoration shop, which isn't nearly as empty as it looks. There's several cars outside right now that I will put into bed here before I leave. Anyway, so why don't we start with this bad boy here? This is a Ravana Green 74 Standard Beetle. See that? It doesn't curve under. That's one of the easiest ways to tell a standard from a super. Anyway, 74 Standard in Ravana Green, Love Bug Edition. Then it actually came from the factory with all the blacked out trim all over it and the bright color. So it was available in this color, and it was available in this is blood red or blood orange, kind of a dark, deep reddish orange color. Anyway, so this car, guys, is like that close to being ready to be driven here. So Rafa worked on it today, and kind of a couple main things he did, I guess. One of which is to put the rest of the interior in. So guys, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Stock basket weave upholstery here, front and back. And of course, quite some time ago, Santiago put the headliner in, and we did the carpet kit and reproduction floor mats from Wolfsburg West, which are beautiful in their own right. So yeah, there you go, guys. Interior on this car is pretty much done. I don't think there's anything left to do on the inside. There's one thing. We need to find this bezel here. It looks like that. And Wolfsburg West, so the black one. Wolfsburg West is out of them. So let's see if I can hunt another one down somewhere. But yeah, other than that, super minor detail. I believe the inside of this car is done. So huge milestone here on getting that all in. And another big milestone is that it now has brakes. So Rafa and Renee are part of our paint and body team. I bled the brakes on it today. I haven't felt the pedal yet, but Rafa said it feels great, and I believe him. So yeah, it's got interior now, it's got brakes, and here's what else happened today, is it now has a sway bar on it. So there you go. Sway bars on, and those are kind of the main things that he did today. But yeah, pretty time consuming doing all those things. But let's take a peek at the motor just because we can. So the motor is all hooked up. I think we're actually missing one of these clips that was missing when the car came in, so we need to hunt one of those down. But other than that, the motor is all connected to everything. Fuel, heater boxes, I believe, are connected. Pretty much ready to rock and roll here, the motor. On the other side of the car, the gas tank is installed. Gas lines are connected. Again, it's got brakes now. I don't really know what all is. I think we could probably fire this thing up here any day now and take it for a spin. It's literally that close. Just really down to very minor details here before this thing is ready for its maiden voyage as basically a brand new car, guys. Look at this thing. I love that those stickers on the windshield, which are just, from when we bought the windshield from Wolfsburg West. But when you stand back and look at the car, it kind of looks like a new car on a lot with those stickers on the window. So kind of fun. I think that maybe that's why we're kind of leaving them on there, because this thing looks like it could be a brand new car sitting on a lot in 1974 maybe. So yeah, I think there were some other little odds and ends that Rafa did, but for the most part, that's it, guys. So don't be too surprised if a video, if not this week, then next week, is showing this thing going on its maiden voyage. So can't wait for that. And so that was pretty much Rafa's day. Let's talk about my day. So I started off with this guy and just did a couple of very minor things. So this, by the way, is the 1600cc single port, of course, for this guy, this beautiful green 68 Ghia here. So a couple of very minor things I did today. One is went ahead and put new brushes in the generator, which I pulled all apart, cleaned, painted, replaced the front bearing, which seemed like it was having some issues. And yeah, so now it's got new brushes. While I had it apart, I cleaned up the I can never remember the name of this, the spinny thing inside here. Anyway, whatever that thing's called, I cleaned the contacts on it just with a Scotch-Brite pad. And the other thing I did then on the other end of the generator is went ahead and installed the fan with its freshly zinc-coated hardware and adjusted it and so on so it's not rubbing, and that's it. So at this point, guys, I'm really just waiting on ceramic coating, muffler, and intake. Carburetor's rebuilt. I've got all the hoses for the fresh air and the preheat. Need to get a coil for it. And I think the only other thing really I have to do for the motor is to assemble the air cleaner, which on Ghia sits off to the side, and assemble that. And yeah, so this is getting very close to being done, guys. All right, so that was a very small fraction of my morning. The rest of the day, since Rafa was working on this guy, I decided to continue working on this guy. So if you are new to the channel, this is a bus that came in for a headliner, came in for installing Safari windows. It just had fixed windows before, and it came in for a little paint and body work. And guys, we keep finding more and more wrong with this bus. And so now at this point, it's getting a complete brake job, and I mean all the way down to the hard lines, because one of them had a pretty bad kink in it. One of the hard lines was routed very poorly, and the clutch cable had been sawing away on it, and it was like very close to failing. And then we found, in addition to the brake issues, that the kingpin on this side was very wore, so the spindle had about, I don't know, probably almost 1/8 of an inch of play in it like this, and which undoubtedly explains why this one tire wore very badly on one side. I think that the wheel just had a lot of camber because of that wore kingpin. So pulled all the kingpin assemblies, the spindle assemblies off, and took those over last week to Brian Roth at Roth Vintage. He does our rebuilds on those things because he's got the press and the reamers and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, Brian went ahead and rebuilt those, and then I picked them up today and put a quick coat of paint on them, and then started the process of putting these together. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar with link pin buses and Beetles, the way you put these together is there's shims that go on the inside, so on the arm side, and then on the outside, and both on the upper link pin and the lower link pin. And the deal is that what you have to do is you have to measure. There's an offset between the two faces of these arms that this assembly rides on. You measure that offset, what that is, and so the offset is in this direction. And then there's a chart you refer to, and the chart tells you how many inner and outer shims on the top, how many inner and outer shims on the bottom. And it's very important, because if you just like put a random number of shims in there and then you snug these down, they will bind and you won't really have any front suspension. So very important to take those measurements very precisely, put the shims in, and then usually what I do, guys, is I'll take the measurements, I'll look up the shims in the chart, and then I'll do like a dry assembly of everything. So no grease or anything at that point. And then what I'll do is I will snug up, like, say, the lower link pin, and then I will start tightening the upper link pin. And what I do is I watch for movement. So if you had the shims off a lot, for example, and you snug up, say, the bottom link pin, and then you start tightening the top one, what you'll see is that this link pin carrier will move a lot that way. And what that tells you is that the number of shims you have is not right. And so then you kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out where you went wrong. So I always do a dry fit on these, and 9 times out of 10 or more, I get it right the first time, but it is a little finicky sometimes to take those measurements and stuff like that. So I always do a dry fit first, mock everything up, make sure that the shims seem like they're behaving as intended, which means that nothing is in a bind at all, and then pull it back apart. And then at that point, then I go ahead and I grease everything. I put in the seals, so there's a seal here and there. There's an O-ring on each and stuff like that. And then at that point, put it together for real, and it should operate very smoothly and not have 1/8 of an inch of play in it like it did before. So yeah, I went ahead and painted, cleaned up everything, assembled those or dry fit those, checked them out, and then did the real assembly on them with grease and everything. Still have to put the nuts on the pinch bolts, but wanted to get both sides done, set up like that. The other thing I did then is on the back of the bus, we decided to go ahead and, since we're already in here doing the brakes, go ahead and also replace the axle seals. Most people assemble these and they leak. This one surprisingly was not leaking, but we were already in there basically with the drum off, all the brakes off and stuff. So really there's just a few more bolts to remove the backing plate and the bearing retainer at that point, and then go ahead and rebuild it with all new seals and everything to make sure that it stays leak free for hopefully a very long time. So guys, getting off, there's a bearing spacer that goes on here. I'll show you those in a minute. Was a huge challenge on this car on both sides. They were, I don't know, somebody had put a lot of like silicone or something in here and then slid the spacer on, or because it doesn't seem like the axle is rusty, but we tried everything to get those off. And let me show you what I finally had to do here. So here we go. So the spacer rides in the seal like that. And what I had to do on these was the following. Okay, so this is the spacer, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but yeah, you see how this surface right here is like tapered? So because of that taper, you can't really grab this with a puller because of that taper. The fingers on the puller will just basically like deflect outward because they don't have anything to bite in. They need like a right angle surface to bite into. But this part here is the only thing really you could get a hold of, because this surface here is what's up against the bearing. So basically you've got that. And so what I ended up doing was taking a cutting disc on a pneumatic high speed and basically like grinding, there you can see right there, and then opposite that right there. So I created two, basically horizontal surfaces on the underside of this lip, and then used a puller that had two fingers on it, locked it into those, and then proceeded to pull this off. So really a pain in the ass. And again, both sides were stuck just like that. And yeah, we wrestled with these for a while to get them off. Of course, we destroyed them getting them off, so new ones are on the way. We'll have them tomorrow. But yeah, you can see there where I ground that surface flat to get rid of that curve on there, so that the puller would actually have something to bite onto and to retain. So yeah, sometimes guys, you run into weird things like that, and you gotta start getting creative and figure out how to remove something or whatever with the tools that you have available. So I mean, in a way it was kind of fun. I like solving problems, but obviously I wish it hadn't been that hard to get those off, but here we are. That's restoration work and repair work, guys. You never know what you're going to run into on these cars, especially now these cars are all, 50, plus years old, and you never know who's worked on them over the years, what kind of weird stuff they've done, etc. But anyway, yeah, so finally got those apart, cleaned everything, and then we got all the brake components here, and I did the pre-assembly here, which you have to do on these bus brakes. Did the pre-assembly on those, so those are pretty much ready to go. So tomorrow, when those bearing spacers come in, then I'll go ahead and build those out and put those together. So that is about all I have to show you guys at the moment. I will say that the other orange Ghia, the darker orange Ghia, the 72, has probably 80% of its paint removed now, and it does have some body damage here and there. Nothing too bad. That back fender was definitely the worst part of the car that we've seen so far. But yeah, so I'll give you an update on that one maybe in a day or so. And then the custom 64 Beetle is probably about half or more than half of the way through getting its carpet kit, German square weave in charcoal color. So I will hopefully give you guys an update on those two cars tomorrow. So for today, that is all. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you again soon. Bye.